Hi, I'm Belladonna Laveau, the Archpriestess of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church. Thank you for honoring me with your attention. Are you pagan? Are you a witch? Are you Wiccan? Have you been to a pagan festival or event? Have you circled outside or in a park? Have you been institutionalized and found that your religious preferences were honored or, even better yet, served? Then congratulations. I'm so happy that today we have the right to do these things because it was not always. So today I'm going to share a little magical history with you and a very important religious entity that you may not know about, and you deserve to know about your magical history. So, the Aquarian Tabernacle Church, ATC for short, began in 1979 by Legal Eagle Pete Pathfinder Davis. Pete was a noted and respected activist for pagan civil rights. He, with the help of some dedicated few, fought for many years to gain recognition as a legal religious entity, sending off copy after copy, copies of copies to prove copies of copies to prove that pagans and witches deserve the same right to worship freely as afforded to all American citizens and protected under the Constitution of the United States. Today, because of the tireless work of the ATC, you now have the right to worship as a pagan without hiding in your living room, drawing the curtains for ritual, and pretending you're not home if someone knocks on your door in the middle of ritual. Members of the armed services have worship services available to them, even in boot camp. Prisons have pagan chaplains. Colleges have pagan clubs. Today, there are festivals and covens with open doors to all who might join in the worship of the old gods. There are so many books and groups and traditions that it's confusing to know where to start, and what a wonderful problem to have. When I was initiated into the craft in 1988, we hid in private spaces to worship. You had to know someone to get to a pagan event. Festivals were small, private, and mostly in people's backyards. I remember the number of books on the shelf as the years grew from 1988, and I remember the year that there were too many pagan books on the shelf that I couldn't afford to buy them all, and I was so happy. There were some small grassroots pagan groups. Paganism, after all, has been around since before recorded history. So it's not new, but it was new to us. It wasn't safe to practice. It wasn't safe to let people know you were pagan. You couldn't find other pagans. You had to figure out somebody was a pagan by reading their aura and talking to them, and then it was a huge risk to ask. You didn't wear pentagrams in public unless you wanted confrontations. And the limited number of books on the market were published by authors who had to face down a very unsupportive old guard who were reasonably afraid of persecution. Pete Davis was not afraid. He was raised by a lawyer, and he learned law at the dinner table as his father discussed cases, legal issues, changes in the law, government. When Pete discovered paganism, he found his heart and he found his home. His mother identified as a pagan, but they never talked about it. He didn't know what it meant, and it wasn't something that they discussed. When he found the hidden children of the goddess, he discovered the fear and the hiding that was common to our culture at that time, and that was not Pete's way. So he made a promise to the Great Mother at that time to bring her into the light. Bringing the Great Mother into the light was common at that time. That's what the goddess asked of us. I had this same calling, bring the goddess into the light. That's what we did. If you talk to other elders, they'll tell you the same thing. That's what she asked for. And Pete set about to do just that. He became the champion of pagans who faced persecution and discrimination as much as he monetarily could. The ATC sued the government twice and won. We fought the USS Chandler for a service member who was being denied his rights to worship and was actually being persecuted for his beliefs. And we sued for the veterans to have the right to choose a pentacle on their tombstone as a religious symbol. Probably, though, the most important of all the ATC's religious victory is the acquisition of the ATC Group Exemption number. It's the same designations that the Mormons and the Catholics have, which is a pretty big deal. To date, the ATC is the only pagan organization with a group exemption number. It's a 4-digit number that gives us the authority to award legal status to pagan organizations under our umbrella exemption without the costly and lengthy process of going through the IRS directly. The Mother Church is a protector of this very important piece of paper. It exists as a monastic Wiccan church that houses the archpriesthood and provides temporary lodging for visiting church members. Well, visiting pagans. Today, the ATC still serves as a protector of civil rights. You've probably heard about some of our institutions. We're the sponsors of WiccanSeminary.edu, Spiral Scouts, Pagan Information Network, Pagan Earth Alliance, Save the Seeds Foundation, Panageria, Spring Mysteries Festival, Hecate Sickle Festival, The Pagan Gardener, which is a YouTube show. In Second Life, we run the sim known as Sacred Cauldron. We are on many social media platforms, and we have affiliated covens and churches all over the world. Many of your pagan leaders are ATC affiliated or at least ATC adjacent. I'm Belladonna Laveau, the current archpriestess. I've followed Pete Pathfinder Davis, and I am the second in my line. I also received the calling to bring the goddess into the light before I met Pete, but I benefited from the work that Pete Davis did way before I met him and the other members of the ATC. When I was in boot camp, we could go to Wiccan services provided every Sunday because of the ATC. Now, the military didn't provide them, but they provided the space, and when we got there, we all did our rituals together. It was great. When I finally met Pete and discovered all that the ATC had done for Wicca, I was surprised that more people didn't know. But, Pete didn't believe in tooting his own horn. He believed in putting his head down and getting the work done so that you could benefit. It's a great and little known part of your magical history. Pete always said that those who say it can't be done should get out of the way of those who are doing it. So, get behind your beliefs and do what you got to do. And don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Thanks for listening. If you would like to support the church and its efforts to protect the environment and fight for your right to worship, or our right to worship, you can go to atcwicca.org and click Join from the menu option. There's an opportunity to join and give and register for festivals and other events. You can also send money through PayPal to bella@atcwicca.org, which also happens to be my email address if you wish to contact me. The Mother Church is here to help, and we can do many great things working together. Know that the Mother Church is here for you if you want to be a part of making the world a better place for the goddess and all of her many creatures. We want you to be a part of our magical family. You are my brother. You are my sister. Aho to all my relatives, and blessed be.